Coming up on Mountain News this morning, from the shores of Sydney to Virginia Beach, thousands honor those killed in the Bondi Beach attack. And lawmakers are also raising questions about the Justice Department's release of files linked to the well-connected convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Welcome to Mountain News This Morning. I'm Neely Green here with you on this Monday, December 22nd. The time is now 6 o'clock. Let's check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, it's cold out.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, there's not much else to say with that forecast other than it is a very chilly start to your week. Now, thankfully, those temperatures will be changing very quickly. So let's talk about it. This morning, a mixture of some upper teens to the upper 20s, but overall, the main story, yes, it's just a cold start to your day. Thankfully, by the afternoon, we'll be seeing the mid to upper 50s, which is warm for this time of year. So maybe just a sweater is fine later on in the day, but still keep that heavy winter coat handy for this morning. In terms of what we're looking at in the clouds, though, a little bit of some activity for our more southwestern counties. But in terms of most of the region, we're looking nice and clear with no clouds in the sky. We'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon, though, as that takes over with some slight chances for some scattered showers beginning this evening. Neely.
Megan, thank you. A Kentucky man has been charged with murder after a woman was found dead inside of a home in Lecher County. State troopers say 51-year-old Crystal Sexton was found dead in a home on Left Fork Holly Road in Boonville yesterday. KSP says 55-year-old Cloyd Burkhart was arrested after shooting and killing Sexton after the two got in an argument. Burkhart is facing several charges, including murder, evidence tampering, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. We're working to learn when he's expected to appear for those charges. We now know the name of the person that was airlifted to UK after colliding with a semi-truck in Knox County. Kentucky State Police say they were called to a two-car crash on Highway 25 East in Gray just before 6:30 p.m. Saturday. That's where they say 93-year-old Crit Moses was driving southbound when he collided with a semi-truck. Moses was taken to Baptist Health Hospital in Corbin before being airlifted to UK in Lexington. KSP tells us the Fayette County coroner pronounced Moses dead yesterday. Troopers say they will be shutting down US 25 East today at 2 p.m. for 1 hour to conduct reconstruction at the scene of the crash. A coal miner has died after a work incident in Wyoming County, West Virginia. Governor Patrick Morrisey says the miner died at the Lower War Eagle mine Thursday morning. That's in between Man and Oceana along Route 10. The miner's name was not released, and we don't have any details about the incident. Governor Morrisey says the West Virginia Office of Miners Health, Safety, and Training is conducting a full investigation. We have an update for you this morning in the case against former Lecher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins. New court documents reveal Steins is expected to testify in a federal civil trial stemming from allegations of sexual misconduct inside the county courthouse. Steins is accused of shooting and killing District Court Judge Kevin Mullins last year. He's listed as a witness in a lawsuit filed by a woman who accuses a former sheriff's deputy of coercing her into sexual acts to avoid home incarceration fees. According to court filings, Steins is expected to testify about his knowledge of alleged sexual activity involving female inmates and conversations he had about it with Judge Mullins and others. The civil trial is set to begin March 3rd in federal court in London. Overnight, new details about two people accused of carrying a deadly attack on a group of Jewish people in Australia last weekend. Authorities say the father-son duo conducted firearm training outside of Sydney and recorded a video attempting to justify their targeted attack. The new information one day after communities around the world used the 8th night of Hanukkah to honor the 15 people killed.
Sorry for what the Jewish community and our nation as a whole has experienced.
The Prime Minister has been pressured to respond to what some say is rising anti-Semitism in the country. Last week, he announced new laws to target hate speech and radicalization supported by some local lawmakers. This morning, the Trump administration is advancing one fight and pushing back against another. Lawmakers are demanding the DOJ explain why it didn't release all the Epstein-related files by last Friday's deadline. Meanwhile, the administration is ratcheting up the pressure on Venezuela after seizing a second oil tanker over the weekend. Their sights now set on a third. CBS's News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Off the coast of Venezuela, the U.S. Coast Guard is now in active pursuit of a third oil tanker. This after seizing what the White House calls a second sanctioned vessel early Saturday.
This is another ship that was basically operating in the black market.
Venezuela called the operation a serious act of piracy. The White House accuses both vessels of evading sanctions as it ramps up its pressure campaign on dictator Nicolas Maduro. It follows the seizure nearly 2 weeks ago of another oil tanker, the Skipper. Last week, the president announced a full blockade of sanctioned vessels traveling in and out of Venezuela.
Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through.
Meanwhile, lawmakers are raising questions about the Justice Department's release of files linked to well-connected convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Starting Friday, the DOJ uploaded thousands of heavily redacted records to its website, including photos and contact lists. But over the weekend, more than a dozen files were removed without explanation. A CBS News review found that includes an image that appears to show a framed picture of President Trump. The image was later reposted.
It has nothing to do with President Trump. If there are survivors in any of the photos, we will redact them.
The two sponsors of the law slammed at the DOJ Sunday for not releasing all files as the law requires by last Friday.
This was a slap in the face of survivors.
They're flouting the spirit and the letter of the law.
They're now working to rally support in the House for inherent contempt charges against Attorney General Pam Bondi. Jared Hill, CBS News.
When it comes to the push for inherent contempt charges in Congress, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said, quote, "Bring it on." The White House took new steps to lower the cost of some prescription drugs. Friday, President Donald Trump announced 9 more pharmaceutical companies have agreed to implement what is known as most favored nation pricing, meaning what the United States pays for some drugs will match the lowest prices paid by other high-income countries.
To do it because we would have a pill in New York that was for sale for $130, and you could buy it in Germany and France and Spain and someplace anyways. They set their own prices for $10. So we'd pay 10 or 13 times more, we'd pay 5 times more, pay all different prices. Now, whatever the lowest price is.
The president credits his tariff policy for getting the drug makers to the table and said so far 14 of the 17 pharmaceutical companies that have been asked to change their prices have agreed. Flood recovery work in eastern Kentucky is being recognized on a global stage. One higher ground community in the region is featured in the January 2026 issue of National Geographic. The article focuses on communities around the world rebuilding after disasters as climate-related weather events become more frequent. One of the projects highlighted is Skyview, a higher ground community built in Perry County after devastated flooding. Through the work of several housing partners, including the Housing Development Alliance.
And we are nice and clear this morning with just a little bit of clouds for more of our southwestern counties. That'll be the trend throughout the day, just a little bit of clouds here and there. But by the time we head into the evening, that's when we'll see mostly cloudy skies taking over, as well as some slight chances for some scattered showers. Now, in terms of temperatures, though, it is very cold this morning, mostly the upper teens and low 20s. So again, very cold, bundle up, but by the afternoon, maybe just a sweatshirt will be all you need as those temperatures make it into the mid to upper 50s. Neely.
Well, thank you, Megan, and thank you for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. With the Affordable Care Act subsidies set to expire in just a few days, lawmakers are leaving the issue of health care for the new year.